this almost has to be a Nigel Adkins appreciation podcast, really, because what he inherited, it was a shambles. And I don't think anybody could really envisage that come to the end of the year, would be close to the playoffs than we are to relegation. So what he's done has been remarkable. And it's probably, a separate discussion where you go back to even, because this core group of players is what Mickey Mellon had. And he couldn't get a tune out of them last season. The Doors experiment was a bit of a disaster. And, they say, good teams don't turn into bad teams overnight. And it's the same in reverse. And Atkins, he's worked out who he needs to be, what his core group's going to be. And you can imagine him on a training field with all the other coaches. He's probably working really, really hard to figure out, how to get the best out of that unit. And fair play to him. He's turned it around, because take last night, the conditions for the first half, it looked absolutely horrific. And you could see that even though we were playing badly, the fitness, the sharpness, the fight, the desire to try and win 50-50s, it's gone up several levels to what we were seeing at the start of the season. And so, full credit to Nigel Adkins for what he's done, and the coaching team behind him as well. He always emphasises that it's the team that's driving this performance. So, hats off to him, really.
Absolutely. Let's get on to that performance then. The first half, Tom Davis said himself, didn't it? It wasn't pretty. It wasn't an easy on the eye opening 45 minutes of football. Tranmere had their backs against the wall for parts of it. McGee made some really important saves to ensure they went in at half time at 0-0. But I think it's also fair to say, as well as, or as dangerous as Harrogate may have looked, the weather was certainly helping them in the first half, and they didn't make the most of it. And then after the break, Tranmere capitalised.
Yeah, you could see, the wind and the rain. It really was awful. And Harrogate, I thought first off, they looked a really useful side. They were keeping it on the ground. They were organised. And we were struggling. We reverted back to long balls, and into the wind. So, we didn't really have any threat up front. Saunders, he couldn't get into the game. Apter, as we see a few times now, as the opposition double up on him. The midfield was struggling, but you could expect, not really too surprised after the 90 minutes they put in against Salford. But it was a struggle. Jennings was having an absolute stinker. Every time he touched the ball, he lost it. And as you say, Harrogate really probably should have been a couple of goals up at half time. So even after about half an hour, I was sitting there thinking, we've just got to get to half time here and try and make sure it's 0-0, because there was no chance we were going to score, because we had no threat. But as in quite a few of our games recently on this run we've had, it's a game of two halves. Atkins made the changes. Second half, we're a different side. We kept it on the deck. We moved it. It was quicker. Scored a superb goal. Another goal with a left foot finish. I think that was 6 on the trot, from carrying on from the Salford game. And, we scored from a set piece as well, which is rare for us these days. So when you start the second half, you see that McAlear's come on. Whenever we've seen McAlear in the past, he's never had really any impact on the game. It's almost been for the final 10, 15 minutes. But you got to say, he was an improvement on how Walker was playing. And I thought he did really well, McAlear. Jolly came on as well, where in the past I've criticised Jolly, saying, he looks like he's running through treacle. He looked sharp. Took his goal really, really well. But, playing the past two games within 3 days, it's difficult to criticise the team at all, really, because it's probably taken a lot out of them. The pressure of not winning away from home. So, it was a great performance, really, in difficult conditions.